So, hi everyone, welcome to the September Reiki Reiju. And we've got a really good question around how often we should be doing the attunements. So there is a distinction. So the Reiki attunement is where you invite the Reiki into your system. And if you were doing like a Reiki 1, Reiki 2 class, then that would be how the Reiki is activated in your system, right? Now, once you have Reiki, so do you have Reiki already?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So as a Reiki practitioner with the Reiki flowing through your system already, you don't need to have more attunements.
Yeah.
But anybody that knows me knows that I'm a big fan of attunements because they're a kind of access point for clearing out the chakra system, for example.
Yeah.
And it's also a way to bring you. Um, so the way that I view an attunement is that moment whereby you're how do I put this? This is a very gross analogy, okay? But it's almost like we're tuning. So the idea of an attunement is you're tuning into the Reiki frequency. So we
Okay.
often use this idea of tuning forks when you have tuning forks of the same frequency. So let's say you have a F and a F. When you hit one of them, then it resonates with a certain frequency, and then the other one will start to resonate even when you don't touch them. Right. So the sound waves will activate the resonance in the other tuning fork. So with an attunement, the idea is that as we attune ourselves to Reiki, we are getting our cellular resonance in line with the Reiki energy. Now, I say that's a very gross analogy because Reiki represents universal life force. So actually, it represents the entirety of everything. So you can't say, well, it's one specific resonance. But the idea is that every time we do an attunement, we are, in essence, raising these things like raising vibrations. And these words are really tricky because then people get this idea that you're trying to get somewhere. But it's more this idea that you're trying to oh gosh, how do you explain this? You're getting in tune with the fullness of your flow or the fullness of your being,
Yeah.
right? Now, so you might hear that and go, "Oh, I want that all the time," right? I'm just going to attune myself 24/7. I'm going to do it 10 times a day. That's what I'm going to kind of manifest. Um, but there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And this is different from a Reiki self-treatment. So when we do our Reiki self-treatment, the Reiki is flowing into our body and it will naturally help to harmonize and balance. And when we do our Reiki self-treatment, you can never over-treat yourself because there's a little bit,
Okay.
that's more like filling a cup of water, right? So you can't see that, my blur. But anyway, if you imagine a cup of water, you're pouring water into the cup. And then once it gets to equilibrium or full, the water just overflows. So when you're Reikiing yourself, and you might notice this when you Reiki yourself, when you first start putting your hands on yourself, there might be certain areas that are very hot or bubbly, or there's lots of sensations. And then as you keep Reikiing yourself, the sensations kind of subside. And this might happen when you Reiki other people too. You might notice that if you keep your hands there for a long period of time, then the sensations eventually kind of subside because there's been an equilibrium reached. Now, not everybody feels sensations like that, but there's often that kind of experience. So if you Reiki'd yourself 24/7, you would never over Reiki yourself because you would just
Yeah.
reach equilibrium and then there would be equilibrium. Now, the difference when you are attuning yourself, and anyone who's done my Reiki master training knows this because I make them attune themselves quite a lot and it can get very intense. The reason for that is that we do have a lot of resistance and we have a lot of blockages and we have a lot of things that we're working through. So every time you attune and you're coming into the resonant flow of your fullness, then it's also highlighting the resistance. So it's almost like you are forcing the, you're forcing your awareness to see where you're not in alignment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's a very individual thing. Like for some people, they can literally just be attuning themselves every day. They can be listening to the audio. They can be self-attuning. They can be calling in the Reiki every day. And it feels quite good. And then for other people, when they do it every day, it feels more and more and more overwhelming. And you get more and more sensitive. And you start noticing that there's irritation in the system as well because you're trying to let go, but you can't let go fast enough. And there's just too much. So there is this idea that you need to be, with your personal growth, you have to be very gentle with yourself. Like the body releases when it's ready to release. And when you force it, what tends to happen is we just re-traumatize ourselves. So again, just to make the distinction, this doesn't happen with self-healing. When you do your self-Reiki, it's a very gentle, natural, harmonic process. And I'm sure you've noticed that some things, when you first start Reiking, they just disappear. They just kind of dissolve. It's like, oh, I feel better. My sleep's better. This is better. And then there's other things that stick around, the sticky things, and they go when they go. You can't force it. You can't make it go away. It's like it's going to go when it's ready in its right timing. But then with the attunement, it's all like I describe it like it's a grenade in the system. So if you're attuning and you're trying to get rid of something and you're putting in the grenade every day, you might end up re-traumatizing yourself, or you might end up overwhelming your system.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a really open-ended. I'm not really answering the question very well, I know, but because it's your own journey. So it's
Yeah.
often like, how do you grow? And honestly, some people really do grow by overwhelming themselves. It's just the way they grow. And then for other people, it's much more step by step, and they like to be gentle and they like to be a little bit slower. And obviously, it depends what you've got going on in your life, right? If you've got a lot of responsibilities, you need to keep down a job, you've got family responsibilities, you've got all this stuff going on, you can't be having meltdowns every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does
That
that,
makes sense. Thanks for that.
yeah, does it kind of answer the question, or has it just made you more
Kind
confused?
of. No, it kind of, and a lot of information, you gave a lot of extra information that I didn't really think about, and how you compared Reiki to Reiju was quite good. Because I
Yeah.
always thought of Reiju as being kind of bringing you back to your true self, or kind of like getting rid, like you said, getting rid of blockages and stuff. But I never thought that it was more intense than a Reiki treatment. I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah. In my experience, but again, it might not be in yours. And this is really the thing with Reiki is everybody has a different capacity and also a different, like some people really don't feel the attunements that much. So then maybe if they did 10 a day, they kind of wouldn't notice it. Like for me, I notice them. Like I literally feel like I'm having a mini heart attack every time I
Yeah.
do an attunement. It's like boom. It's like this literally my heart chakra goes boom like this. So for me, it's quite an impact, which is maybe why I'm a bit more respectful around it. But if again, when you feel into it, you might go, well, like when I do self attunements, when I do Reijus, when I listen to the Reijus on the audios, the meditations, I can do it 10 times a day. I feel fine. Great. But then for other people, they might be like, well, I can do it maybe once a day, once a week. That feels better for me. And I think that there is a tendency in the personal growth field to bring that kind of very seeking energy that kind of the corporate energy of strive and goals and push and all this stuff. And we bring it into the spiritual field as well. So then we're pushing and pushing and growing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if that's really very helpful. I think that kind of compassion, that self-compassion and kindness, and when the body is ready to open to something or let go of something or release something, it's kind of going to do it.
Okay.
And so you hammering away at it doesn't necessarily make it quicker, honestly. Yeah.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just trying to work out how often I'm trying to add Reiju back in and just thinking how often, but I won't go every day and make it too intense. So maybe, yeah, once a week or something. Maybe I'll start out as.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you can just try it, and just see. But just feeling in. So as you start, it's almost like as you do it every day. Like for me, I recommend a self-healing, a Reiki self-healing every day. I recommend that, like hands-on healing. And then obviously, if you're at level 2 or level 3, you might add on. And that's another thing we're not really talking about is depending on your level of Reiki, you have a different capacity as well. And that's simply energetic. So for a lot of Reiki masters, for example, if they're actively teaching, they're doing hundreds of Reijus a month, actually, like hundreds of attunements because they're holding classes. So they're having to attune their students. Now, that capacity is obviously very different from someone who's new to Reiki or Reiki 1, whereby they're not used to doing attunements. So there is a level of capacity as well that we build. And that is partly to do with the amount of self-healing we're doing, but also partly to do with the levels we're at.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's not to make a hierarchy of the levels. It's simply access, right? So every time you get attuned into a new level, there is a certain leveling up of your energy system that has more, you gain more capacity. And that's, again, just a personal experience. I don't know if other people feel the same, but that's certainly been my experience. And I have to say, over the last couple of years, I'm doing less and less students. So I'm doing less and less attunement. So in a sense, my capacity has gone down. So it's not just because I'm a Reiki teacher, I can maintain that. It's almost like you have to maintain it through the
Yeah.
amount you're doing. So you might notice that if you start off once a week and then you build it to twice a week and then 3, you know what I mean? That you might be able to build your capacity
Yeah.
to take on daily attunements and really be okay with it and to be in quite a good position. But there's no gold medal for doing a daily attunement either. It's not like, oh, it's going to be better. It's really not like that. It's kind of what pace suits you. And there's also that fundamental question of where are you trying to go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes we're chasing
Mhm.
rainbows and we don't really think about that either. It's like bigger, better, stronger. And it's like, to what end? If you're having a nice, gentle time and you're, peeling back layers at a rate that seems manageable and comfortable and your body's comfortable and, you're learning and you're growing, then that's perfect. There's no need to overstrain the body because
Yeah.
it's tough enough out there without adding to it.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. We love it. We love to we love to push. I just noticing in the chat, I'm just having a quick read. Um, so I've not been practicing for the past year. Can I restart? The self-practice, you can restart anytime, and the attunements as well. So we're talking about the attunements. So if you think of the attunements as that doorway into the full alignment with Reiki. So it's another way of looking at it is kind of like you open the door and you step into the fullness of Reiki, even if it's just for that moment of the attunement, and then you come back out. But there is something about stepping into the fullness that highlights where you're not full, right? Or highlights where the resistance is, or highlights where you're holding certain tension. And so if you keep doing that to yourself, like you keep looking and looking and looking, but you don't have time to process what you're seeing, it's just a waste of time, so what? But the self healing, which is just your Reiki, just placing your hands on your body to give yourself self-healing, or send yourself Reiki, or whatever your practice is, or meditation and Reiki, or whatever, that you cannot overdo. So if you're coming back into Reiki and you start doing your 1 hour practice every day again, that's great. There's no issue with that. So what we're referring to here is taking your time with the attunements, but you don't have to take your time by building up your Reiki. Because if you think about Reiki 1, you go in there, you learn the 1 hour Reiki, you've got a whole full weekend of just Reiki, 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 Reiki. Some people find it pretty intense, but for most of us, we come out feeling, wow, that was great. And we carry on. So yeah, I just want to make sure that distinction is clear. I don't want anyone leaving this thinking, oh, I need to take care of my self Reiki. Self Reiki, you can do as much as you like, but the attunements are the kind of grenade. That's the thing you just need to pay attention to. There's no need to energetically keep pushing yourself beyond what feels comfortable. Hope I answered that question.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do a meditation. We will include the Reiju in this as well. And the other thing I'd say is also the self Reiju, the self attunement, I think is a much gentler form of, and probably, I don't know, this is a new thing, right, that I've been playing with the last couple of years, but my feeling is that it's probably self-adjusting, more like a self-treatment. But again, this is for you to play with yourself. And the self-attunement is very simply, you bring your hands in Gassho, place it in front of your heart center, and you're calling it in. So as you call in the Reiki, you're just inviting the Reiki attunement. It's as simple as that. And for some people, they notice more activation in their hands. For some people, they might notice a kind of opening in their energy system. But whatever you feel is perfectly fine. And then we'll just do a little guided meditation together, and then we'll pop back out. So I'm just going to mute you all first. And then very gently just coming into a comfortable seated position, hands in Gassho, prayer pose in front of your heart center. And just taking a couple of breaths to ground yourself. Bringing attention down to the feet, just make sure that you can feel the feet on the ground, the pressure of the floor. And you could even imagine your energy extending down through the floor into the ground, perhaps imagining roots so that your feet feel really solid. And then at the same time, bringing your attention all the way up into the crown chakra, top of your head, and opening that 1,000-petaled lotus, imagining it's blooming and blossoming. And as it opens, you're inhaling the Reiki attunement, inviting the Reiki to come in through the crown, all the way down through the heart center, exhaling out through the hands. So it's inhale through the crown into the heart center, exhale all the way down the arms, into the hands. And then very gently bringing your hands anywhere on your body. Might be on your lap, palms face down onto your thighs, or it might be on your belly or your chest. And for the first few moments, just noticing any sensations in the hands, but also in the body, And with every exhale, you're just starting to relax the body even more, noticing and relaxing around the eyes, the face, the jaw. Every exhale, taking the opportunity to relax the body into the shoulders, the back, all the way down the arms. Noticing the breath in the belly, relaxing all through the torso. And noticing the buttocks on the chair, relaxing all the way down the legs. And then just simply being with the body. If you notice areas of tension, just allowing it to be there. Just seeing with a little bit of attention whether it may release somewhat, but whatever is going on, you're just bringing a very gentle, compassionate observance. Even if the mind is busy or the body is uncomfortable, just seeing if in between all of this you can notice the spaciousness, the silence, noticing the breath as it inhales and exhales, all on its own. There's no need to change it or help it. Just seeing if you can get this sense of the Reiki. You might be noticing it coming out of your hands, or you might just be noticing a general sense of well-being in the body, or sensations such as heat or tingling. And allowing it to diffuse through the body. Also noticing in the air around you, seeing if you can bring your attention more spacious than the body out into your environment, as if there is no boundary between your body and the air or the room. A certain equilibrium. Even if the mind is thinking and the body is twitching, even if there is discomfort, just noticing what's underneath all of that. And with every exhale, you just allow the body to rest in that. Every inhale, you invite in the Reiki to harmonize, to heal. And every exhale, you just invite more relaxation. As the body relaxes, it releases all on its own, whatever needs to be released. And just noticing for yourself how the body's feeling, what the body needs from you. Just noticing how it feels to bring more gentleness, more acceptance. And simply by inviting the Reiki healing into the body is enough. Allowing the cells to do their work. Allowing the innate wisdom of the body to do what it needs to do. No need to push it and pull it, bully it, force it. Just seeing what it feels like to release any of those impulses. Just being with the body as it is, in all its fullness, in all its tension, in its busyness, the thoughts coming or going, without changing anything. And noticing any resistance as well, any difficulty. Very gently, just starting to bring your attention, if you've had it quite expanded out, back into the boundaries of the body, noticing your edges, the top of your head, around your face, the back of your head, your neck and shoulders, your arms, your hands, fingers. Noticing the breath in your belly, your lungs, the diaphragm as you inhale and exhale. Your pelvis, your legs, your feet. Noticing the entire body. And pulling your energy in around the aura. Seeing if you can notice a ball of energy around you, 1 or 2 feet out from you. You might like to fill it with a white light or any color or colors that come to you. Just see if you can make it really robust. No holes or leaks, just fully glowing, radiant. And you can take a few breaths and just really fill it up. As if you are covered in a beautiful white light all around you, within you. And then very gently wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, raising your arms above your head, giving yourself a little stretch or a shake all the way down the spine. And whenever you're ready, opening your eyes.